does God look at men like you have to be this big tough guy who never feels emotion?
Well, if that were the case, then Jesus did it wrong. Sometimes the most manly and strong thing that a man can do is be vulnerable.
All right.
We're here.
It's Dr. Pastor JP Reacts. If you're new here, this is Dr. Pastor JP. He is a doctor in counseling, lead pastor of our church. I'm Pastor Caleb, youth pastor of our church. Production manager Dalton behind the camera. You can't see him.
Yep.
And we take some time and react to some videos. We've been doing a lot of Dax lately.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to do a Dax song today that is totally different than all of the other Dax songs we've done. So
Really? I was kind of liking him.
Yeah, it's still him. It's just
Okay.
a different vibe. It's not. Some of the other ones have been more religious affiliated.
Different genre.
Yeah, and this one's kind of got a more country vibe, and it's
Really?
it's,
Country.
It's guest starring Hootie.
Hootie and the Blowfish, Darius Rucker.
Darius Rucker is guest starring in it.
I can't hide myself. I don't expect you to understand. I
This is
just
Dax
hope
singing?
I can't explain.
That's
what
Darius.
it's like to be a man. It's a lonely road, and they don't care about what you know. It's not about how you feel, but what you provide inside that home. Being a man is what you make it. You can't always live up to expectations. You try to please everybody while you struggle, so you fake it and end up out of balance, compromising situations. As a good man, do what he should, man. Give everything he has and do everything he could, man. You might find yourself feeling all alone inside a house you built that you don't recognize as home. And that's what my daddy told me, and I'll tell my son the same. Now that I'm older, I relate and I actually feel his pain. He never cried, he might have lied, but he did not complain. And he said, son, one day you'll have to do the same. I get emotional when I stop and think and I look around beyond the county lines of my small town. I think about all the men out there who feel like I do now, who are screaming on the inside but won't ever make a sound.
That's probably a good. Yeah, that's a good spot to stop it. What you think?
Wow. Number one, so Hootie and the Blowfish, they started years ago, right? And then Darius Rucker went out on his own, and he did okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna be a bit of a prognosticator here. This is gonna make him really, really popular again.
Oh, it has already.
Has it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read anything, but I can see.
Yeah.
Now back to the content. I don't want to say everything that I'm thinking because I want to save it for the end because I think the thoughts will come together better. And there are a lot of truths in here. It's specifically talking about men, fathers, husbands. And this is something that generally most men struggle with, self included. And I still, to be completely honest, I still struggle with that today.
Yeah, we just did the Bible study, Tender Warrior, going through what's like, and all of these guys. You know, we had guys 12 to
we had 30 guys,
70
guys,
age range.
guys
Yeah, 12 to 70, and all of them
We're
were we were taught not to cry. We were taught to be tough, and you don't show emotion, and you don't ask for help.
I mean, if you do cry, then you've either heard you keep crying or I'll give you something to cry about, or stop crying and I'll give you something to cry about.
Right.
Yeah, this is very real. The struggle is real. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
For most guys, especially when you get married and have kids.
Yeah, let's keep going and then discuss more later.
Of my small town, I think about all the men out there who feel like I do now, who are screaming on the inside but won't ever make a sound. I don't expect
That was
you to
Dax singing in the beginning.
I just hope I can explain what it's like to be a man. It's a lonely road, united. As a man, our sun is our horizon, and our father's actions play a role, and we end up like them. So they can't let us see them hurt, cause we'll embody what they do and start a generational curse. No wonder most men are so depressed, all the things that they can't express. They go to war, get thrown on the shelf, then go back to war with their mental health. Then grab that bottle and ask for help, try to pull themselves out of hell, then fall back down and then realize that they're gonna have to do it themselves. It's the circle of life. As a man you provide, they don't know what you're worth till the day that you die, and that's when they start crying. Then move on to a man to confide in. That's why we feel we can't hide ourselves. We can hide ourselves. We don't expect you to understand. We just hope we can explain what it's like to be a man. It's a lonely road, and you don't care about what we know. It's not about how we feel, but what we provide inside that home. Inside that home. That home. It's not about how we feel, but what we provide inside that home. Inside that home.
Dax is a great country artist.
I
That
agree.
is such a switch in genres, but he
Yeah.
actually has a great
He's got a really
voice.
good singing voice.
Yeah.
And Darius was kind of rapping on this, which was
It was weird.
opposite.
It was like, yeah, almost antithetical,
Yeah.
or, you know, when you watch videos like this and it's focused on men and it's focused on feelings and about providing, anytime you start talking about something,
Mhm.
this subject or of this nature, it's very easy for people to slap the label on of, well, what you're talking about is sexist and misogynistic. It's interesting because I was just talking with someone a couple days ago about this. One of our listeners.
Mhm.
In no way are my comments meant to be misogynistic. And if anybody knows me, they know that I'm not like that.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I am. Maybe I am deluded in my own mind.
No.
But I don't feel like
No,
I'm
I
like
understand.
that. But you know, the idea, and before I say that, let me say this: there are single moms out there. There are ladies who have never been married. There are ladies who have lost their husbands. So there's all kinds of situations, and they, to some extent, and to a large extent, can feel some of the same things, right?
Mhm.
Because of the pressure. I put it this way a lot of times: just like a man could never know, possibly know, or feel what it means to go through childbirth,
Mhm. Or just being a woman in
or
general.
just being
yeah.
a woman in general, and all the things that, you know, they have to deal with and fight through, and from misogyny to sexism and stuff like that. Men go through the same stuff.
Mhm.
And I think that's what this is addressing.
Mhm.
Not to exclude women, but this video is particularly addressing in context men, and that not being able to articulate how they're feeling or how something makes them feel. Now, a lot of times that comes from adolescent and elementary developmental years of how you grew up and what you were told, how you navigate emotion.
Mhm.
Because, you know, I went through that. You know, I'm sure you went through that. I'm sure Dalton goes through that. Sometimes we see Dalton walking down the hall with tissues, and
Mhm.
he's very sensitive. I'm just but you know, there's a difference in many times as guys, men, how we're taught to handle our emotions or even articulate them. Now, women struggle with the same thing.
Right.
I can show you email after email after email that says
Right.
that. And so I'm not excluding, but for men, the pressure of, and we've said this before, the pressure of not becoming the thing that you have grown up hating
Mhm.
is pretty strong. And then not to pass that on to your kids
Mhm.
which if I can be completely honest, and I have been publicly, I did not know how to do that when I got married. I did not know how to not do certain things with my kids. And so I made some really bad choices. Let me go back for a second. I made some sinful choices that have affected them because of my lack of being able to deal with things properly in an emotionally healthy way. And so this like pushes buttons for me. You know, I'm like, well, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I counsel a lot of people, men and women. And when I start getting into the fields with men, you know, like, well,
Stonewall shut down. Or,
well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you mean you don't know?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost hard to articulate it, you know?
Oh, and even me, like my wife says that all the time. She's like, I can't read you. I have no idea what you're. And usually, most of the time, I'm thinking about nothing. Like men have this ability.
Yeah,
to
and my
just
wife doesn't
shut
understand
off.
that either. Like, how can you not think about
we
nothing?
just churn stuff
very
off.
easily.
Yeah.
It's a switch.
And but so my wife does the same thing. Like, what are you thinking right now? And I'm like, the wall's gray. Like,
Double pepperoni
yeah,
pizza.
like,
I mean,
lunch.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But just that same thing. Like we don't. There are times when we aren't feeling anything. We're just numb. And then
Correct.
there are times when the burden of being a man and the provider and the strong one, the
Yeah.
one to be able to hold everybody else in your family and carry everybody on your back
And do it the right way.
and do it the right way. Yeah. So there are times we are feeling absolutely nothing. There are other times we're like on the verge of a breakdown, like this song.
And the funny part about it is with men, a lot of times, I'm not saying all men,
Yeah.
but with men, because men maybe have the potential to not handle the emotions
Mhm.
as well as women.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's exclusive to 100% men don't do that, but I think what happens is when we don't know what to do with something where it starts to touch a feeling, certain indicators come out. And a lot of times it comes out, in my opinion, with men, it comes out in two ways. One, they completely shut down and don't talk at all.
Mm-hmm.
Or
The opposite, anger. That's what I was thinking.
you rage, you
Yeah.
know, you get,
Yeah.
and so, and I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it with guys, my friends, people I counsel with, and it's interesting how that works. And we all have that struggle to deal with. I have to deal with that.
Mhm.
I'm not exempt, you're not exempt, nor is Dalton, if we feel marginalized by relationships, or we feel like a leftover, or we feel like no, we're not loved, certain emotion is going to come out, and depending on how God made us and wired us, it'll come out a certain way, maybe the right, because shutting down, in my opinion, and going like silent is equally as bad as lashing out
And going loud. Yeah.
right? And so many times it depends. He talked about the generational curse. So many times it depends on the context in which you were raised and things. But here's what I know. It doesn't matter what the generational curse is. The generational curse can always be broken if you change how you think,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. But great video. Love it. I like at the end where they honored veterans.
Yeah,
I like
that was really cool.
Pretty cool.
What do you think? So most of that was from your counseling idea.
I was is that what you wanted?
Pastoral, yes. But so I'm going to ask the question,
Yeah.
though, from the pastoral side, because you hinted at it, like how God wires you, how does God view a man?
His position, or like what are you referring to?
I mean, emotionally. Do you think so? Like we've all stated we grow up like men are not supposed to cry, men are not supposed to do. Men are supposed to be these big tough guys, blah, blah,
Sure.
blah, right? Whatever. Does God look at men like you have to be this big tough guy who never feels emotion?
Well, if that were the case, then Jesus did it wrong.
Exactly.
He wept. He was sorrowful. He got angry. Luke 19:45 and 6. right after he was gone. I was speaking about this Sunday. Right after he was going into the Garden of, he was in the Mount of Olives, and he was coming from the west, walking into Jerusalem, and he stopped and he says, "I weep for you, O Jerusalem," and he talks about that for 4 verses, and then the next 2 verses, he goes into the temple and annihilates those guys. He went from weeping and crying to anger, like anger. So I don't think we should deny that. I think we should be able to learn how to manage. Men should be learn and grow to manage our emotions in a healthy way that honors God. And I do know it's possible.
Yeah.
But many times what prevents that is fear of a lot of things, being labeled, being, like I said, marginalized, whatever, dude, or being, you're just a sissy, whatever that means. We hear all those labels and words that people call us. So I think it's important and I do think it's possible, in particular for men and women, but in the context here of this video, men to be able to emotionally handle their, or in a healthy way, because that's what Jesus did.
Modeling what he did. Well, and I was thinking, there's 2 verses that I was thinking of. 1 Corinthians 16, be watchful, stand firm, act like men, be strong. And so that we read that and we're like, yeah, strong men. And we start grunting like Tim Allen, like, whoa, whatever. But then that last part we kind of leave out, let all you do be done in love. And I think as men, we think, oh, we got to act tough, we got to be strong, we got to fight, whatever. But we miss that. Let what you do as men, do it in love.
Yeah, one of the things that men struggle with is letting their guard down.
Yeah.
For many reasons that we don't have time here to discuss. But sometimes the most manly and strong thing that a man can do is be vulnerable.
And humble.
And that's not easy. It's not easy for me, not easy for you. It's just not.
Yeah.
And so in those situations, this is just another situation where we have to trust God to change us. And that happens by reevaluating our thinking. Why do I do those things? And I know the answer because I ask men this all the time. Hey, so why do you do that? Guess what their answer is? Their first answer is?
My dad.
Yep. My dad. Or my mom, if they were from a single parent home. And so, when I counsel people, when I sit down and talk with people, which is more like a conversation, I'll say to them, hey, tell me about growing up. What was it like? And it all starts to come out, they don't even realize it usually. And then I'll just sit there and look at them and they're like, oh, I kind of see what's happening and what has happened. But the hurts from the past, the relationships from the past, whether you were mistreated or not, many of us have, many of our listeners have stories of abuse. Those things that have happened to you, even if you're a man, right? You have to recognize that they still don't have to define you. That doesn't define who you are.
Well, in Genesis 2, you were made in the image of God, as a man or as a woman.
He defines you.
Both are the image of God. He defines who you are.
So sometimes we have to reshape the narrative of our life, the story, right? And understand. And that's what brings up questions. Well, why did a loving God allow such horrible things to happen to me? Well, we live in a sinful world. That was not his plan, but because of Adam and Eve's choice to eat from that one tree, humanity was cast into this fallen, broken world. And so we have to deal with the results of sin. And so it is possible. Those things don't have to define you. You don't have to repeat the past. You can break the generational curse. Most of the time, you can't do it by yourself.
No.
So
we're not designed to do it by
ourselves.
We're not
designed to do it by ourselves. That's
true. It's not good for man to be alone.
No, I love the video. It's good. Really good.
All right. Well, Yeah, that's a really good one. Good subject. Thanks so much for watching.
Yes.
Check out.
And those that are writing in,
yeah, we are. JP's email is full.
My email inbox is like going out.
And we like doing that. Like, we're gonna keep doing it.
Well, I like doing it. These guys talk like they're writing email.
Yeah, we like doing it.
Yeah.
But no, we're so grateful for you guys writing in. If you're struggling with something or really don't understand what we're talking about, fill out the jot form below, and you'll have personal access to
one other thing I wanted to
JP's inbox.
You know that I've actually made some friends.
Yeah.
Some online friends, which has been pretty cool.
That's
met
awesome.
people I would have never met. And we've had some good talks. I've talked to a few people on the phone.
Yeah.
Just trying to encourage them and, you know, be a friend to them in the middle of chaos.
Mhm.
You know,
that's all we want.
Yep.
Just show some love and be a light in your dark world.
Yep.
And just know, if we don't respond to you right away, it's not because we don't want to.
No.
We just have so many
We're
emails
so
coming
busy.
in.
Same with
We're gonna
comments.
get to you as
Keep
soon as possible.
commenting what you want
Yep.
us to react to.
We see them.
We do see them. We're only doing like 1 or 2 videos a week.
We're stacked up.
So we're trying to do them
in the middle of an expansion project.
Yeah. So stuff is happening. We see you. We see your comments. And with that, we are going to do a react to comments really soon here.
I can't wait for
And
that.
so we're going to talk about some of your discussion questions or comments or concerns.
Yeah.
And we're just going to acknowledge it and talk about it all. So like, comment, subscribe, but don't forget, keep your nose in the book.